The following program is intended for mature audiences.
A democratic republic of sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Greene.
Welcome into the Wicked Weed studio. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene. Check out our friends at wickedweedbrewing.com. Wicked Weed Brewing. Drink different. The Pittsburgh Steelers. There's big problems in Pittsburgh. You got problems with your quarterback. He's aging and he's getting hurt every week, it seems like. He had the pectoral issue to start out the season. Now Mike Tomlin talking about the hip issue. There is no chance that he is going to be benched. As much as people may say he needs to be benched, they're not going to do it. They're not going to hand this team over to Dwayne Haskins or to Mason Rudolph. We've already seen it. So now the focus has to be on how do you get Ben right? How do you use Ben so he doesn't lose you games?
The one biggest takeaway of the first 4 games of the NFL season for the Pittsburgh Steelers is looking at Ben Roethlisberger.
That boy ain't right.
This is what 39-year-old quarterbacks are supposed to look like. I feel like we've been skewed by Drew Brees and Tom Brady, but what do those guys do so well? What is it that Drew Brees and Tom Brady have always done so well?
Control the ball.
And play within themselves. Ben's got 4 picks in 4 games. That's not good. You can't be. He's limited at this point. I don't think that's a spicy hot take. He's a 39-year-old quarterback who's taking care of his body about the same level I have.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, the McRib. Only 25 days away. Only.
I'm surprised you're not trying to eat that thing. I knew you were going to try to do that as soon as I said it. The last 3 weeks of the season just haven't been able to put points on the board. The offensive line has terrible problems. Ben has not been good. He's been harassed. Najee Harris cannot run the ball behind this offensive line. We had the game 2 weeks ago where Ben was the game plan was to dump everything off to Najee Harris. He got targeted 19 times in that game. It's been the only good game that Najee Harris has had. And this week you get to go up against the Denver Broncos. The Broncos whose front held in check the Baltimore Ravens this past week.
And I have, I routinely talk about these gut feelings that I have.
Yep.
I had a gut feeling that Pittsburgh was going to cover last week against Green Bay, and they almost did. I have a funny feeling, and you go with me if you choose to, don't have to. I think they are going to beat the absolute smoke out of the Denver Broncos.
How?
I trust Mike Tomlin infinitely more than I trust Vic Fangio.
Okay.
I mean, infinitely. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say Fangio's a -7, and Mike Tomlin's a 9.5. And I just look at this and go, I don't feel like it's that hard to figure out. You can't ask Ben to do what they've asked him to do through the first 4 games of the season. I said it all off season long. I thought Matt Canada would be smarter than the previous regime that asked him to throw the ball 1 billion times a game. How many quarterbacks in the NFL have thrown more than Ben Roethlisberger through 4 games?
2.
1.
It's Tom
He's
Brady.
tied with Derek Carr, and he's 14 behind Tom Brady.
Okay.
And he's still 64% completion guy. Which means, by the way, he's still better than Baker fucking Mayfield. I'll take every shot I get.
Still the best quarterback in this division?
Oh, God, no.
No.
Oh, God. Oh, good hell. Good
Lord.
Googly moo, no. He's just better than, he's not the worst either because he's not Baker Mayfield.
Right.
You have to insulate him. You have to protect him. This is like offensive football 101. All right, Najee Harris hasn't been real good. And by hasn't been real good, I mean, do you know among qualified running backs how many players have less yards per carry than Najee Harris?
10.
3.
Yeah. He's only
It's
averaged.
Mike Davis, James Conner, and Mark Ingram.
Yep. He's only averaged 3.4 yards per carry.
Yep.
It's not, it hasn't been good. And I don't see that changing. I don't see them, You say you can't let Ben throw this much, and I agree with you. You can't let Ben throw this much. But do you see them handing the ball off 28 times?
No, but see, there are other ways to fix this problem. See, Pittsburgh has one of the greatest problems you can ever have. They have too many fucking skill players. All the way from Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, Pat Freiermuth, Najee Harris, Eric Ebron, James Washington. That's 7 legitimate weapons in this league. There are ways to creatively get the ball to these guys that doesn't involve Ben taking 5-step shotgun drops and firing away. You have to lean up some of these defenses because they have no fear of you. They have no fear that you're going to hand the ball over off to Najee Harris and he's going to bowl through the line for 7 yards. So how do you mitigate that? You stretch defenses out. How do you do that? The same way the San Francisco 49ers do. Pre-snap motion, wide receiver screens, slip screens, deceptive ways to get players the ball in space. And Matt Canada's not doing it, which is dumbfounding to me. It's one thing to not do that if you're I'm trying to think of the Atlanta Falcons, who have Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley, and dudes. And Cordero Patterson. He belongs up there now.
Right.
And then there's nothing back behind there.
I was going to say
the Steelers have infinite numbers of weapons that can beat you one-on-one if you put a guy on an island with Juju Smith-Schuster, he can hurt you. But if you just sit here and drop back and bring in the safeties and bring in the linebackers and you don't stretch the defense out horizontally, then yeah, this is the result you're going to continue to see. And to me, it's just not that hard. I said it before the season. And now I feel like it went in one ear and out the other. Like, how do you not see this?
I think this week they are going to they're going to lose. I think they're going to lose. I honestly do. I think Denver's going to come into their house, and it's going to be gross. It's going to be ugly. Neither team's really going to be able to do great things offensively, but I think Denver's going to end up getting the win. I don't see this as a hammer spot for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I do.
I just don't know how you're going to do it. Ben can't throw the ball all that well. They have a really good secondary. They have a defensive front that's going to get after him because their offensive line is terrible. I think everything they try to do offensively is going to be met with a brick wall, basically. And they might score a couple of touchdowns. Maybe Najee gets loose for the first time in his career and has a great run. On the other hand...
Let me ask you a question.
Yep.
When was the last time you felt about the Pittsburgh Steelers the way you do right now?
God, it'd have to be the 90s.
No, it's not. It was week 17 last year. Because they had lost 4 games in a row, or 3 or 4, or however that stat goes. Do you know how many pre-snap motions they ran in that week 17 game against the Cleveland Browns last year?
No clue.
40. It was their high water mark of the year. And I think they're going to do it against Denver. Because I think they know you have to do this. This is where the league's at now. You can't have a middling quarterback and just line up and go, hat on a hat. You don't have hats to put on hats. Denver has better defensive players than you have offensive linemen.
Yes.
Period. So how do you fix that? Stretch it out. And I think it's going to happen this week, and I think they're going to beat the Denver Broncos. Okay. Because I think they're better than the Denver Broncos.
I think it's close.
I think it's close, but I think they're better than Denver. And I don't think Ben Roethlisberger is the bumbling, fumbling, borderline incompetent quarterback that he's been for the last 3 weeks. I don't think that's who he is. I think he's smarter than that, and I think given time, they will figure that out.
I hope for their case that you are correct, because things are starting to snowball for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the calls are getting louder of something needs to change. If you're not on the Ben Roethlisberger needs to be benched bandwagon, then you're going to be on the Mike Tomlin needs to be fired bandwagon.
And to me, both of those are dumb.
Not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying when your team is good, there are people in that Pittsburgh Steelers fan base that do not like Mike Tomlin, and it's only going to get louder if you continue to lose the way you've been losing, which is to me a very real possibility. Again, my wife's a Steelers fan. Your wife's a Steelers fan. We hope that things get better for the Pittsburgh
Much
Steelers.
happier in my house when
Exactly.
the Steelers are good.
It makes things very tenuous in our houses, when the Steelers aren't doing well. So we have all the hope in the world that they can turn things around. We'll be back to recap this week's game next week here in the Sportsocracy. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene. We're always in the Wicked Weed studio, 10 a.m. on weekday mornings. See you next time.